It's fantastic to have you on here, and I'm pretty excited about this. I've been anticipating this for quite a while because I've thought for a long time about I've been thinking for quite a while about um, sort of why people believe what they do and how they come to find purpose.
Yeah.
And I don't really have a good reason for why these particular questions have entrapped me, but they have. And so I know you moved here to South Dakota or to Western South Dakota about I don't know, let you know,
10,
10 years ago,
10 years
close
ago.
to
Yeah.
it. And there had to have been a reason why you did. And I got to know you not long after that. And I've sort of watched you sort of try different things and then land on what you're doing. And you seem to actually be quite enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about hearing about this because as long as I've known you, for whatever reason, I don't think I've ever just drilled in on this. And the reason, and one of the things is I think for me, when I hear other people's experiences, there's stories about how where they come from and where they're at now, and hear the story about them. It makes it relatable, and you can, and then you once it's in a story, you can sort of apply it to yourself. Like, oh yes, what can I learn from that? And so I don't know if it's going to help anybody else, but I think for me, helping listening to your story about where you were, where you've come to, what you learned on the way is going to help me. And if it ends up helping somebody else, that's fantastic as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. So if we may as well just get into it. I'd love to know what inspired you to move here, particularly from where you were. Maybe, and I'm thinking maybe specifically you can tell the whole story, but I'm very fascinated by sort of the internal workings of the things that motivate and some of the action that goes on in here. Because I'm sure you had support, but I'm sure you also had people pulling you back. Like this seems to always be the case when you rise or when you want to make a step forward. Okay, I need to make an improvement here. It feels like there's something, God forbid, somebody feels
Yeah.
like they're pulling you back, and that can be a little disheartening at times. So anyway, yes.
Yeah. Oh, I can start from kind of the beginning of it. I think it was in 2015. Uh, I'm gonna say maybe March, April time frame. But it would probably been, it might have been February, March even. But anyway, yeah, we were. I think it was, yeah, it was in the winter sometime when I started getting. I think it was kind of just one day. All of a sudden, I had this little impression that maybe something was going to change in my life, and I wasn't sure if we were going to sign up and go to the mission or do something down that line. Um, so maybe I'll back up a little bit. Even now, me being the only
Oh yeah,
son,
yeah.
we had been having these discussions all along in my life. My dad would ask me if this was for sure what I wanted to do and stay here, and so then he was going to keep spending money on the place and whatever. And so we did that. We kept on going, and we did do quite a bit of work on it, but then we kind of got to a place in the cattle yard where maybe we'd almost reached the amount of capacity at that place, and as far as building it, and that didn't have any contribution to the ideas to move here, really, or to move out. But that when you get, and we were enjoying it. We were really enjoying it over there. That's one thing I want to be clear about, is there was no ill
Oh yeah.
feelings
Yeah.
or discontent of any kind. And so then among my peers, probably that was the thing that flummoxed
Oh
me and
yeah.
them most, was that this guy doesn't need to move, and he looks happy where he's at, and he has a good working relationship with his dad. And so, yeah, I remember the first time I approached my dad about it, I actually kind of was emotional, and I said, I'm not sure what is going on, but something might change after a while. And he was like, well, let's he said that can be completely fine, wherever the Lord leads. But
Oh, that's interesting. So you never you never felt you never felt sort of the pushback, even in the
not
beginning
at
of
the
it.
beginning,
Oh,
no.
not at, oh.
So, and I didn't, I don't think I ever felt it. Like, I'll give my dad all the credit. It had to be hard on him, but I would hear it from a few other people now and then, just little snatches of it. And yeah, I mean, of all the people that we were involved with there, my parents were some of the least pushbackish, or holding us back. So the yeah, some of the other, it took a little bit longer for some of the other family members
Oh, really?
to get used to it, but
Interesting.
not my immediate family.
Oh,
But
oh, oh.
no, not my immediate family, but the grandparents and
So
partly,
yeah.
I guess they're both gone now. So
Oh, yeah.
I can talk about them, but they have they felt like they did the same thing when
Oh, yeah.
they had moved from Kansas to the unknowns of South Dakota back in the pioneer days, and kind of built what they had built, and they didn't see any reason for us to leave. I remember specifically some things my grandma said, but they were not unkind about it,
Yeah.
but
You
yeah,
could
they're
tell
just,
they
oh,
yeah.
please don't go,
Right,
so
right. So maybe you're getting here, but I'm very curious about this. An idea just popped into your head that and there's something more for my life.
yeah.
And it was sort of unsolicited. Like all of a sudden, you were just feeding hay or feeding calves one morning, and this idea popped into your head. Or is there, was there any kind of internal lead up to it, or was it just like
No,
this
and
happened?
if you get to know me a little more, that's where most of my ideas come from. So I don't necessarily think,
Yeah, yeah, I
I
understand
don't
that.
think about things a lot, and some of the most successful things in my life have been s- not quite spur of the moment, but almost.
Oh yeah,
And so then, yeah, you were talking about me being a back of a napkin
yeah,
planner, and
yeah.
that would have a little bit. So almost immediately, I went and talked to my friend that moved out here with us,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and 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 I knew he had been they had been wanting to move out here since. I mean, I don't know out here exactly, but they did have some cattle close to Belle Fourche for several years before that. In the summertime, they would bring him out here,
Yeah.
and he enjoyed it out here. And yeah, he was just waiting for the opportunity for to. I mean, he it wouldn't take anything at all to get him enthused about it. I would think we're at an insurance meeting at a, how boring those can be, the
Yeah.
crop insurance meetings, and we had just eaten our big prime rib or whatever, and we were supposed to go back out to to the main hall where we were having our presentation, but me and him just sat at the table there. And I said,
Interesting.
"Are you still wanting to go somewhere?" I said, "Because I've got the harebrained idea now to."
Did he have any sense that you were interested in this sort of thing before that moment?
No, we completely flabbergasted him.
That's hilarious.
It's-
Those encounters are always interesting. Man, that's bringing back memories of when I introduced the idea that when I went to teach school,
Oh yeah,
approaching that that people were varying levels of surprised.
yeah.
It was so funny, but yeah. So I can sort of relate on that. So it wasn't. It's not like you have any. Did you ever go through any period of sort of like trying to justify your feelings, or didn't you ever feel the need to do that?
Well, it was, and I'm not sure if I need to be apologetic for this or not, but it was so incredibly spiritual. Like it made no sense from a material standpoint for me to go. It almost seemed like if God wanted something like that to happen, it actually had to be that way. Like it made absolutely
No.
no sense for me
Yep.
to do it. And so, yeah, like I said, I wasn't being pushed out or I mean, there was plenty of room there for me to practice the profession that my dad had done for years, and I could have melted in there. But, um, and so, I mean, yeah, the trepidations came a year or two into it.
After you were
Probably,
here.
yeah. I'm
Oh.
that would probably be when you start realizing what it all actually means to
Like you just
be here
you don't really know anybody, and then that's
completely
when
alone, and you have to start everything from scratch. And by going to meet your neighbor, or I mean, you
Yep.
and by now I think about it, and I'm like, what were we thinking? I mean, to come out here and not know anybody and expect to melt into this community and start and be successful. I mean, I'm frankly, I'm kind of surprised that we have been as successful even in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like even as our group as a whole here, even. But
Interesting.
just, I mean, just when you think about it, well, the relationships, and maybe that's specifically in ag, but the relationships you create with neighbors and people around the community is a little bit, we take it for granted a little bit if we've just grown up with it.
Oh, dude, that has been a talking point of mine for a long time. Like that was one thing that happened to me here that I didn't know was going to happen to me. Like before we moved here, I didn't realize how much I took. I mean, from where we moved from, I didn't really have relationships with like just whoever sort of lived a like what is it? Is a reactive life? Does that make any kind of sense? So if circumstances put us in close proximity enough times, you'd start to get to know somebody. But I never made any conscious effort to sort of, who's this? Who's this? Who's
Well,
this? And it's embarrassing because if there's a legacy that my grandpa left,
yeah.
it's to meet everybody.
Well, that's partly because you were and we were also a big enough group over there that we didn't necessarily, we didn't hardly need to interact with the community even
Right.
to just go about daily life and but I mean, that you ended up knowing the guy at the local gas station and the
Right.
local feed store and stuff. But
Oh yeah, it was very interesting because when and I'm sure this is exactly how it was for you, but like when you, so when I moved here, I knew you over there, but it was kind of over here, and then I had to sort of get to know my neighbors because I didn't have any, like, I didn't have any equipment. So
Yeah.
everything I wanted, like if I needed something, I had to call, go knock on my neighbor's door who I didn't know, and I said, "Look, I'm in a tough place. Whatever. I was wondering if there's any way in the world you'd let me borrow your backhoe."
Yeah.
And they just wasn't used to that sort
Yeah.
of thing. But after not very long, I actually come to find it quite exhilarating.
Yeah. And you come to find out that this specific community is used to that. Like
Yes.
they are actually, that's by now, I can honestly say that I know far more neighbors, far more personally around here than I ever
Same.
knew in eastern South Dakota.
Same.
Like you could not live. I mean, you just didn't need them as much over there.
Right.
But yeah, so then I think we maybe came here about in April of 15 was about the first time that Tony and me
Okay.
came here. And um
Did you come here together at the same time?
yeah,
Got you.
yeah. We treated this as a team effort.
Oh,
Kinda.
that's interesting. So
This-
from
this-
that first
From that,
meeting at
from
the
that point
insurance
on,
meeting,
yeah,
you-
we came here. I think we maybe came here, I'm saying maybe 4 or 5 times
interesting.
in that summertime, and then just looking at, and we went to we just got, I think the first time we came here we got in contact with Tri-State over there and Realty and Bob Gherkin.
Yeah.
But
God rest his soul.
yeah, and he, really nice old grandpa, and he showed us around, and we kept on the relationship with him. Like we would come here. I know one time me and another friend just came here. Well, it was actually to meet somebody else that was looking here also, but we just came for like in one night and
Okay.
went back home. And one time my friend and me and his dad came here all in a day. We came here in the morning and looked at a bunch of different land, and then we drove home that night. Yeah. But so yeah, I think my wife says that in the first year before we moved, she's counted maybe 20 times we came back and forth here.
Really?
In maybe only 5 times before we bought the place, 5 or 8, 5
Okay.
before we bought the place, but then we were fixing up the house.
Oh.
During that winter, some trying to get it livable in the yard and stuff. And then we moved in June actually of 16. But
So you grew up ag, and was that just the assumption from the moment you stepped foot over here? That's what I'm going to be doing is ag.
yeah,
That's the only thing I know. That's just what I'll do.
You asked about specifically here. We both kind of wanted to stay with kind of the same occupations that we had, me and my friend, and we believed that we could do about the same
Oh,
as we did over there. And since then, I have realized that I mean, it's always good to have a history in a certain industry,
yeah.
but there's a lot less parallels than I thought there would be from where I came from to where we live here now, far as basing decisions off of what I grew up with to what is out here.
Like culturally, weather, crops, everything.
Yeah. And mostly crops and market for crops and just I feed cattle over here now, and it wouldn't work nearly as well as it over there.
Right.
Because there's less cattle over there and way more feed. So the feed is cheaper, and over there it works better for cash crops, and here there's nothing, around for cash crops. And so
So so right now you're feeding cattle, and basically you're growing feed to feed the cattle,
yeah,
basically. But when you moved here, you were doing more farming and just selling feed.
selling grain, yeah.
So what when you moved here, did you anticipate that you were going to feed cattle, or did you come here with the anticipation that you were going to sell feed, and then you transitioned to the cattle? Because I forget how
Transition
this.
to the cattle mostly, yeah. We had, so you make the comment about me doing a lot of stuff, and we did quite a bit of different things that we got further behind on. Maybe we tried a few things that didn't necessarily pan out. One of those
Yeah.
was I bought a truck and wanted to haul some ear corn, and
I had forgot about this.
I that deal turned out to be a small enough window, and I don't have any heart for trucking. So I mean that was the biggest thing, was I just don't like it. So
Yep.
and which, if you don't like something, you're not gonna make it work,
Oh,
because you
boy.
can't pursue it.
It's
and it doesn't.
impossible.
And let's see here. Oh yeah, then we baled hay. We did lots of. We actually put up quite a bit of hay there for a few years, and squared hay,
Oh man,
and
working the nights.
sold that. Yeah. I at one summer I didn't sleep much at home, but yeah. And I was kind of continually just putting in some fence here and there, and
Oh, okay.
trying, or some corral fence, as we were going along here, and trying to get more facilities that were available for cattle, if that time ever did come. And then I guess probably the biggest thing is I started trading hay with that one guy out of Wyoming that did the he traded oil field pipe back.
I see.
If you ever heard about that, but
Mm-mm.
we had, I think he brought me maybe 4 semi-loads of oil field pipe in,
Oh.
and then he would just take hay back and trade,
I see.
and he was able to get it just stupidly cheap. And I'm talked to him quite a bit since then, and he can't get it cheap anymore. But it was like,
He could get oil filled pipe cheap.
oh yeah,
Got you. Okay.
yeah, like a quarter the price of what it is right now, or even less. Yeah.
Was it
Something like that.
was so less than market at the time? Maybe there's
Oh
already
yeah,
a market. on
yeah,
this
yeah. Well,
stuff.
market in our area here, it would have still been at least, half of what the market was in our area
Oh,
at the
really?
time.
Wow.
So then he started bringing me loads of that, and I was like, and my friend even used some of that too there, but I was like, well, let's just start pounding these posts in and making corrals here, and they, because it
I
didn't
see.
cost much, and as we had time, we kept pounding them in. And yeah, I'm under the opinion that I guess I'm a cattleman, and so I
was wondering about that. What was like something was pushing you towards the cattle?
yeah, I'm always under the opinion that you can make a better living if you can send your own feed through some cattle on your own
Yeah.
yard.
Yeah.
That's what that's then you have 2 opportunities to make money on the feed, I guess. But
Yeah. And that completely stands to reason. However, I have some serious doubts that you only do it for the money.
yeah.
Like you
Yeah, well,
strike me as a sort of like
no, I
like
don't.
if some like you like we've gotten maybe even you and I have gotten into arguments about whether there's actually sufficient money in it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think in the end you're probably right that there is money in it. However, it like You just love cattle.
It's it's not a get rich scheme at all. But no,
Yeah.
it is it's very enjoyable. Yeah, I'll put it that way.
Yes.
And so yeah, I wondered if sometimes I should feel guilty about it, but
So
it's so enjoyable. So,
here, okay, then we're getting to the real crux of my question now. So cattle, you have sort of, I don't know how you experience it, but like, so whenever I have interest in something, and you can say, um, I'm interested in this, and it's like as if in the past I've sort of felt like maybe I actually chose that interest. But if I'm real well honest with myself, that isn't how that works. The interests choose me,
yeah,
and I'm pretty fascinated with that. Like we don't. It's like we have an interest, and then it's maybe our responsibility to steer it in a maybe an expedient way,
yeah,
maybe even a godly way, if you know that whatever that means. But and so I'm very curious about this. Do you feel like cattle? Okay, let me well, let me ask the question, and then let me explain it a little bit. Do you feel like cattle speaks to a something like more personal? So, for example, I like the idea of cattle myself. I haven't done cattle since we've got here. We had cows in Georgia, and I was whatever. I wasn't. They were fine. I even whatever. I liked them. I didn't dislike them, and they provided for some of the funniest stories in my life at the time. But um, now there's the idea of cattle fascinates me because the idea there's something about the country or the farmer or the ranching way of life that facilitates a slower, more thoughtful, more meaningful way of life. So when I say I like cattle, partly what I'm saying is I like the lifestyle.
yeah,
And interestingly enough, I didn't know that I did. I started there, like in a farmer lifestyle, but then when I got here, I got into the rush of the cattle industry of the cattle hauling industry,
yeah,
and then I had a farm too, but being as I was trying to run the truck and do hay, everything was pretty push, and then um, after that, I started helping Jeremy with the irrigation, and then I became somewhat of an accountant, which I guess I don't know. I'm still sort of that, still sort of am. But now that I've been sort of in those things, I enjoy those things, but I see the value in literally going out and walking around in the cows.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I that, so that so when I don't know if do you feel the same way about any of this? Like because I feel like the cattle somehow even help me spiritually,
Oh yeah,
mentally, and
yeah.
all of this because it's just
No, you can
closer to the ground. I guess that's a way of saying it. Yep, yep.
you can sit inside sometimes, and I just got done doing taxes here,
No.
and I sit inside for a few days.
Yep.
But I always you guy always has to take a walk just before sunset to get out there and take in the air and like I said, you walk through those cows because
Yes.
they will they will teach you something. Some I think some people might laugh at me, but you sit there and you look at those cows and they don't have anything going on that they have to get done, and except
Yep.
walk between the water and the feed,
Yep.
and then they stand by the gate in the morning when I go feed them. But that is their only worry is the competition at the feed bunk and at the water trough from their neighbors, and
Yep.
so then at that point in the day, there is no competition. They're just standing around because they've had their meal.
They're satisfied. Yeah.
And so you walk out there and you just, yeah, I'd make and it makes it all the more enjoyable if it's kind of cold and crisp and not any wind or much wind at all, and
There's
just
something about this, like especially right after you feed them, the smell of the cows in the feed.
yeah,
It's an it's amazing.
yeah, it's just the silage smell.
Yep.
Yeah, when they
Or even if you're just like, I would even argue, even if you're just feeding a bale of alfalfa and you're just out there with the cows, and then you hear the sort of the cracking of their ankles
yeah
as they're walking around, and then they're snuffing in the straw, and then the smell of the straw and the smell of the cows. Like
yeah
and the thing of it is I don't really understand why.
yeah.
I
Well,
just experience it, but I don't know why. I don't have the why behind it.
yeah.
Anyway,
So I think you touched on the lifestyle actually of a rancher, maybe, as opposed to even a cattle feeder.
oh,
Um, as um far as the relaxing
yeah,
and going out there and checking your cows in the summertime. And I mean, because that is very enjoyable too. They're so content out there, and they're if the grass is green and weather's nice or whatever. And
yeah.
um there's not the like to custom feed cattle. I've been blessed with very good clients. I'm not,
Oh, yeah.
but that there is a little bit of a personnel or uh, people aspect of it that you
Oh,
like.
yeah.
I'm get a little nervous, if I think that my guys are somewhat discontent with the way things are or whatever, if they feel like something needs to change. And yeah, my wife will anybody will tell you that I'm a people pleaser, so then
Yeah.
really bothers me if there's something, if I think there's something that they wish was different but they're not telling me.
Oh,
But like I said, I've actually had really good luck with them. And so then this just rancher with his own cows, and then you don't wouldn't even have that
right.
stress. So
Yes. But it, if you was to give up the custom feeding, the cattle feeding, there is there is a stress associated with that. If you're feeding for somebody else, there's a stress of there's a social element or whatever. But if you're feeding your own cattle, even if you're buying your own cattle and then you're cutting, you're feeding them and then selling them, there is the money anxiety with that.
yeah, yeah.
But if you didn't do any of that, would you miss it? If you just had range cattle, or if you just had a herd or whatever, just a bunch of
Oh,
cow
I would
herd.
miss it. Yeah, yeah. I would. I mean, but it's because I actually do enjoy feeding cattle. Like
Yeah,
some people are more enthused about when they're out grazing, and that's fun too. But yeah, to get out there every morning and give them the provisions that they
yeah,
need to and the science of feeding them more in the cold, and
yep,
or the mathematics that go with loading the ratios more in the cold and less and when it's warmer, and seeing how they react to that and
yeah.
stuff. So
Well, let me ask you this then: where do you see yourself in 10 years? You don't have to give me your business plan, but like, it's like if you imagine yourself sort of where you are, maybe physically, maybe even spiritually, and all of that, where do you see that sort of? Do you see it moving you anywhere, or are you just like, this? What I've got now is perfect.
well,
I have arrived.
well, no, I wouldn't say I've arrived. I build fences, but I don't put any gates, and so that's just one aspect of improvement that I hope to have in the next
Oh.
10 years is actual gates, more of them instead of just panels, that you drag around.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, so that to say that it's going to get boring, for me, I don't think that would hardly fit, because from my point of view, there's so terribly many different things you can do with feeding different types of cattle, different ages and different, I mean, there's so many different
Yeah.
things you can
Oh, yeah.
actually do that I don't think I'm going to get tired of it
Yeah.
as far as that goes. I might try something stupid, but just calving out a bunch of cows again or something. But
Do you see yourself expanding your operation, or does the stress does that where the stress line stops? Like, I'm not going to get any bigger. I'm not going to feed any more
well,
cattle than this.
I've definitely got something or things that I want to,
Oh, yeah.
and even another whole yard. I've been scoping out a different place on my farm where you could actually put
Oh, yeah.
another whole yard.
Yep.
See, and that would actually make it more legal for the amount of cattle that
Or want to be fed.
you can supposedly have in an area. You actually need more space, and well, you actually need some manure management
Yeah. Yeah.
pits and stuff. And so then if I would build another yard in this complete other area, then just reduce the number I have right on my yard and just add and put those cattle in this other yard, and I would be
Yeah.
more legal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would like to know what my dad by now, when I was my boy's age. My boy's 11 right now, I think, my oldest. And so I'm, of course I've asked him a time or two,
Oh, yeah.
and he's like, no, I think I want to do kind of what you're doing, and
Yep.
are you sure you wouldn't want to rather do construction? Because we went and helped on our friend's house a little bit there one day, and I thought they really enjoyed it, but no, I don't think so.
Why don't you? Was it just not used to it, or just like this work is just dumb?
Well, they actually enjoyed it. I thought both of them did, and I thought it was gonna maybe sway their opinion just a little bit.
Yeah.
But apparently not. No, they'd rather be with the cows, they said. So,
Interesting.
which makes me feel good right now, But
Right.
but that, from my experience, that
Yeah.
it's only that's only good for a couple months, probably.
Yeah.
Because we would back to this. We were building the feedlot there at my dad's place, and we would, and Grandpa would stop in
Yeah.
and talk to us, and we quit working, or whatever, and the comment would be made about the money spent on it or whatever, and Dad
Yeah.
would, or well, I've asked him, and he seems like he's gonna stay, and I would say, yep.
Did you experience any guilt about the fact that all those things ended up not being true, or not really? Did it not bother you?
I got out of this a little easier than a lot of people would probably, but my brother-in-law is going to listen to this probably and enjoy it. But he got married to my sister the weekend before we moved out here.
Oh.
He was not working for my dad yet at all. But I could see that it might easily transition to that.
Yep. Yep.
And so that's where my guilt went. I mean, it didn't. I didn't
Oh.
have the. I just, like, maybe I should have felt a little more guilty about it, but I knew that he was in a position, my brother-in-law, that where he was working, it could be easily traded for my dad's operation.
I see.
And so that's what, within a year or so, and then it happened pretty well.
Oh,
happened.
wow.
So yeah.
See, that's the thing, dude. The fact that you were able to sort of offload that guilt, that's pretty cool because
Yeah.
guilt, in my experience, and even in my own, so I don't even think that's fair to say in my own experience. But as I've observed, people's guilt about these sorts of things can be crippling.
Yeah.
Like it can sort of be the thing that keeps them from sort of finding any sort of fulfillment in what they do, and then they just end up just driving, and then just spinning, or they can't get the motivation to do anything, and so that's actually fantastic
Yeah.
that you were able to, because not everybody has that experience. That's definitely a blessing, that's for sure.
And my dad, I mean, we're kind of just, we've got the same genes. I mean, we're just eternally optimistic. And so then
Oh yeah,
I mean, stuff gets him down, a little bit, I think, when we came here, but it didn't last that long. And yeah, it
Do
was
you?
only a few months. He was so happy we're out here by now.
Oh,
So,
good. Well, I was
yeah.
going to ask you about that. Like, did you? And this is no judgment on him because all parents care about their kids, and one of the ways they care about for their kids is that in a situation like yours, it seems incumbent upon them to give unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
Did you? I wondered if you ever had to. I mean, I didn't know. Your father. He's still alive, and then whatever.
Yeah.
But and he may listen to this. But did you have to deal with any of that, or did you find that punishing in any way, or did he keep his thoughts to himself, or?
I
Or
am, if I did have that, I didn't resent it
oh,
at all. I mean, yeah, I can see that, but I was pretty young coming out here too.
yeah.
And like, let's see here, it would have been, let's see, 16. I would have been 28 when I moved out here. And so, I mean, I maybe felt like I knew it all, but I sure didn't know very much. At in relation to the huge thing I was attempting to do. I was pretty young and dumb.
Oh
And
yeah. Gotcha.
so then I've actually welcomed his
So
advice.
you sort of sensed that at the time.
But
It was like, I'm pretty dumb here, and I'm going to need some help.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually interesting. Maybe because it seems like we can get kind of like in this sort of things, we can get stubborn. But maybe that happens when we get older. Like now, okay,
Oh, I think I'm more stubborn now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
It
that is
was.
interesting.
Yeah.
Because now you kind of know how to do stuff.
Well, and yeah, I mean, you have some measure of success in a few things, and then you think you've learned, but
Yeah.
I don't think you really seldom that people actually learn. They just
This
think they
this
know
is a
more,
conversation I've been
but
having with the boys. So, and I don't know how to explain it because I've used some words that I've explained it in ways that people push back on pretty hard. But so, for example, if you go, this is my new way of sort of explaining it. So if you go buy a load of cattle, well, how am I going to say this? Okay, you've been feeding cattle for 10 years, and you bought calves in the fall, and you fed them and sold them in the spring or whatever, and you've done it the same way for 10 years, and all at once it falls apart for 3 years in a row because something. Well, at the end of the 3 years, you go, oh dear, something isn't working. Well, the question that begs to be, and so you say, okay, what do I need to do to fix this? Ideally, that's what you do. It's like, okay, what do I need to do to fix this? And you
Yeah.
fix it and you go, okay, but the question is there a mindset that a person could have had all along where he sort of had a beginner's mind all the way through? Like keeping a beginner's mind seems to be crucially important, and wisdom, but difficult to actually practice.
Well, there's an aspect about the beginner's mind that it is friendly to change more so.
Yeah.
And that's when you said that you were going to you'd fed cattle for 3 years and it didn't work. I see that is already an indication that you didn't have a beginner's mind because you didn't try anything different
Right.
for 3 years when it
Right.
wasn't working.
Right.
And so I would actually be, in some ways, I think I still have the beginner's mind because I just don't stick with something very much.
Yeah.
And especially if I see something else that I think, or not like a whole different industry, but in the cattle feeding industry, I'll jump to something else if I think it's going to be more profitable this year. And it doesn't take me much at all to convince myself that it will be more profitable this year.
Oh, okay.
And
This is interesting.
So
because
then I jump.
has that lessened over the years for you? Would you
No,
say?
no.
See, I think, dude, this is where I messed up because I used to be much more fly by the seat of my pants when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I just, some of the stuff, like in one way, like, so I went and hauled cattle when I moved here. And I just called a guy and said, can I haul cattle? And started hauling cattle.
Yeah.
I bought this farm sort of on I wouldn't say on a whim,
Yeah.
but maybe.
I
kinda.
was there. Yeah.
Yes, you were. And then, but somewhere along the way, I got, I don't know what the word is. I think I got too calculated. And so one of the things that happened is I think I've matured, but that part of me I wished hadn't matured.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think is so cool about the fact that you're still kind of this back of the napkin kind of guy. I wish I'd never learned how to, in one way, I wish I'd never learned how to use Excel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
You talk yourself
lose-
out of stuff.
you lose the vision when you start. Okay, you have an idea in your mind, and the idea can be pretty. It's really focused in areas, and then it just branches out to like it's. You imagine a white center, and then it just gets gray into the black. Then you got the outsides of black and the unknown. Well, when you try to reduce that thing, whatever that is, to an Excel sheet, the gray, you leave the gray out because you
Yeah.
can't calculate the gray, and then you just start to focus on the Excel sheet,
Yeah.
and you lose touch with the
There's a whole realm of possibilities
Yes.
that you've left
and
out.
then you and once you use it in an Excel sheet, it's really hard to stay in an open sort of creative mind.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think if knowing you and watching you that you do, like I wished I still did that more.
Well, it is. There's some things that go along with that, and that is like being disorganized about exactly the gates and stuff that I haven't built yet. I've got so many things that aren't finished that but I think God knows what he's doing when he makes somebody like me, because because I'm not discouraged by that. And there'd be a lot of people who would be very discouraged with unfinished projects.
This is interesting you bring this up. This is bringing up sort of things in my mind. So the thing I hadn't actually put this together till right now. This is fascinating. One of the big contributors to me losing this was starting working at the irrigation store, because you have to, like, so there's a when I started there, I was doing point of sale, accounting, payroll, inventory management. What else? I'm not sure, but I was getting a lot of information coming in,
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot to manage, and I got overwhelmed quick because I'm forgetful, frankly.
Yeah.
I had to figure something out, and so
Yeah.
that's when I contacted a buddy from back in Georgia, and he got me onto this book, Getting Things Done.
Yeah.
I started there, and that book began my journey of becoming a manager. Now, there is value in writing things down, but there's something that dies. For me, it feels like there's something that dies if I reduce everything to a written word.
Yeah.
And it served me, doing that served me well in that line of work. But I see now, and I've been fighting back against it for probably the last 2 years, or trying to keep the good parts of that, but trying to find the good parts of the old me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I would, we've talked about this before, but I would sure like if I could get more organized, and be, because I do feel good about myself when I can finish something and get something complete.
Yep.
So another thing that I just was doing today, when you build something like I have, or as maybe as fast, because we had to prepare for the cattle as fast as we did, you end up tearing stuff back up. And I just did that today again. I was taking some fence down, some corral fence down.
Yep.
But you got to realize that the tools we have nowadays, it doesn't take anything to do that. Like it is literally minutes to cut apart a fence with the big gas powered chop saws we got, and the angle grinders, and you go along with the skid steer and you pull the posts and you can move that. I mean, even though it's a metal welded up fence, you can move it and put it somewhere where you know, and I like that is also maybe another part of my character that doesn't necessarily discourage me if I have to take something apart and or that I've spent some time working on. But
interesting.
I have, yeah.
That is actually very interesting, because oh wow, I actually hadn't considered that. Yeah, that is interesting, because it's sort of it's a gift that counteracts the negatives of another gift.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because you can be disorganized and put something together and it works. I mean, this deal has worked,
Yep.
Until I got a bigger feed wagon and I couldn't make my corner anymore into this one pen.
Gotcha.
And so then I have to widen the LA out, or else just put some big portable panels in there, which was what I think I'll be doing. But yeah, so now this one pen was completely inaccessible, and yeah, and that's one thing I've learned in this cattle business, of feeding business, is you need to be available, have pen space available, like, because you need to be ready at any time. Somebody will call you and say that, can we have some
kind of bring a load
tonight, and so you just need to have something available. I told my dad that's one thing I learned. If you don't, you'll actually lose a fair bit of opportunity if you say that you don't have anything available at the moment. But
This is fascinating. The more I think about this, the more I think the cattle feeding, building a cattle feeding business was made for you, and you were made for building cattle feeding businesses. This is it's
oh
so
boy,
fascinating because I've toyed with the idea of feeding, like putting in a feed yard, but for me to put in a feed yard, it would be very difficult because I have to lay down a lot of ideals
yeah, yeah,
to make it work.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
And you seem to be able to do that.
Well, yeah, or else I didn't have them in the first
Well,
place. So they're like the feed line. I mean, anything with cement in it, you need to have some pretty good
yeah,
idea
yeah.
of where that thing is going to be,
Yeah, for sure.
and I spent a lot of money on that, but I don't think I'm going to ever regret that. That's a really good
Well,
deal.
the
But
thing of it is, like, so because Shannon was talking about the fact, he looking at, he wants to put in some pins or whatever, and he just said, Chris runs cattle and some stuff that I simply wouldn't be comfortable with, and he works absolutely fine for him.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you have a sense for the edge of what works is the funniest thing to me.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if he's referring to the fences or not, but you got to have a couple of pens always available
Yep.
for brand new cattle that are spooky.
Yeah, oh,
So
yeah.
you got to have, and then when you hear that there's cattle coming, you can take them out. Some a bunch of cattle that's been here for a week or two has calmed themselves down already, and so then you move them out into a pen that doesn't have as as good of fences, and then you bring in the new cattle and put them in those
Yeah.
the solid pens, but
So
that
to go back, how did you learn cattle? Was your dad feeding cattle from day one?
yeah, but
you grow up with
no,
it?
he didn't. He does not have he's not invested in it like I am. Like he doesn't have he doesn't. I could probably say that he doesn't enjoy it quite as much,
Yeah.
and I think he caught on to that when I was in my early teens or maybe mid teens for sure. That was something I was going to want to do. Like that was something that I really enjoyed.
So did you sort of see something somewhere that you were patterning after, or did you just go, this is interesting, and you're learning it as you go?
No, it's definitely there's lots of my friends and associates over there where we came
were
from
doing
that
it.
built the same type of systems and
Okay,
and
but what's fueling you here though?
I go from off of what I learned back there. I mean the last feed line that concrete deal that John put in there.
Yeah.
That is completely patterned off of what we built back there.
Gotcha.
And I mean, yeah, I guess I just enjoy it. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
But because like from my perspective, it seems like you're just sort of, well, it's just not really patterning after anybody, just seat of the
Yeah.
pants and just rolling with it, which is,
Yeah, well, it
I sort of
has
admire that
appeared
courage.
that way the last couple of years because we expanded or that. I mean, that sounds tremendously conceited, but we got a lot more cattle around faster than we were thinking we were gonna.
Oh yeah.
And so some of the things that Shannon's talking about there is like or is even my equipment and like it until this year, even the feed wagon and just that it's just been way too small for the amount of cattle I've been feeding. Like
Oh yeah.
loading 11 loads in a day. That's what I was doing
Crazy.
last year. I mean that and if that piece of equipment would break down,
You're
I mean, it
hosed.
takes 6 or 7 hours
Oh,
just
wow.
to feed, and so then you don't have any time for
breakdowns.
for a hiccup.
What
or-
did you do if you broke down? Call the neighbor? Dude,
Yeah,
that
I
gave me ulcers like
worked in
unreal.
the night some, but no, it wasn't ever too bad. Those feed wagons are pretty simple, and so then as far as the repairs go, that's not that serious. but-
Gotcha. Because this is an example of how I would be with this. So I bought a used baler. It's an old baler.
Yeah.
And I like it, and it was pretty cool because I like paid for the thing in the first year. In custom, if I calculated what it would cost if I had it custom done, right, or if I'd have rented a no custom work. It had taken custom work rates to pay for it, but I would never have considered that if I didn't have 1, 2, 3 neighbors who could help me out if I get in a bind and come help me bail.
Yeah.
So I made sure that when my baler was working, I helped the neighbors bail so that they would help me when I
Yeah.
went down.
Yeah.
That I got some paranoia going on. So this thing of having but you could have like I'm sure there. I mean, I guess worst case scenario, there's always
Yeah.
you've got acquaintances over there that would get you out of a bind too,
Yeah.
because you've got other cattle feeders over there. But
No,
Anyway.
that's yeah. There, I would say that there's other people, and even my dad, that maybe would have seen some limitations that I didn't necessarily see.
but that probably did you well to not see them.
Yeah, yeah. It gets rid of lots of feed, anyways. So
Do what now? Well,
when I got this, when you have this many cattle around, it gets rid
Oh,
of a lot of
yeah.
feed. So
But your dad, but you said people saw some of the limitations, but you didn't see the limitations.
yeah.
You just went for it
Yeah.
because if you'd have seen the limitations, you'd be like me and you wouldn't do it.
Well, yeah. No, I'm not trying to say that I've got a handle on it. I feel like honestly I just cannot take no for an answer in my mind. If somebody says that they're gonna, this one fellow he wanted to bring me 500. I think was the first number. That would have been 2 years ago already. And that was a big number for me at that point, because I'm like, I'm going to have to get with it, and build bunks. And so we started. And the next time he called me, he said, well, or maybe he came over and he was like, we might need 750, and we'd take a place for, and by the time we got, I mean, we were talking about 1200 by the time we were over with it. And there was not ever a point in there when I was
Considered turning him away.
yeah, or when I told him that I was never, there was never a point when I just said no, we can't, and
That's
and
crazy,
so
dude.
I was, and we did actually, but I mean by the end of this, he did bring me 1200 at that
Did
at
any
that point.
of the possibilities of failure cross your mind?
Yeah. Yeah, but not for very long. You don't let them sit there for very long.
Like
so.
you made a conscious effort not to not let him sit there very long.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
And you just I mean it. We found a way to make those bottomless feed bunks that they're pretty cheap, and then I used a bunch of that pipe that I had laying there yet from those guys that brought me semi loads of oil field pipe.
Bottoms, where it's just walls and you're pouring it under the ground.
Yeah, yeah, and then you put a guardrail on each side.
Yep.
You make a frame, and
just fill her up.
That yeah, Jana's, or my wife's cousin, came from East River there and helped us and helped me probably, I don't know, probably a month. I think we built 25 of them things at least.
So you had all this infrastructure put in before the animals showed up, though?
Yeah, it was. No, it was not, it was not, like I said, I don't see limitations where some people see
Did
them.
you calculate? Did you say when he said 1,200? When it went from 500 to 1,200? Oh, I'm going to have to expand. So you immediately knew I'm going to have to put in some investment here. Like I'm going to have to build these. I'm going to have to figure out something
Yeah.
for feed lines. I'm going to have to hire this done. Did any of the cost of that cross your mind, or did you say it's got to be done, and the cost was of no consequence? You just I'll just call
Well, I
Logan to
think at
get it
that
done, and
point
then
already I had put in almost all the perimeter corral fence posts, but
okay,
I had not attached the wires necessarily to the
yeah,
posts. And so we went for a good share of that winter with just, attached here and there, like maybe 50 feet
yeah,
in between. And in the spring, we found out that they do actually get out then from when the grass starts getting green, they'll
yeah,
once they find out that they can spread those wires,
yep,
um, they will crawl through. And so we had some extra work in rounding them things back up in the spring, but of that year. But now since then we went around and attached wires to most of the posts. I
oh.
still actually have some that are sitting
So
there
you
without
what you're
attached.
saying
But,
is you sort of cut some corners in the beginning.
oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
most definitely.
But so because what I
To get there, I mean, to get to the, yeah, what needed to happen. Yeah, you
right.
need to be able to be available. But
But did you ever sit there and calculate, okay, I need to build all this. What's this going to cost me? Or did you just
well,
go to
the
town? Did you just
feed
go to town and
bunks,
buy stuff, and then you just called somebody to come help you, and then whatever it cost, it cost?
yeah, kind of. I mean,
See,
the feed bunks were,
that's the part that's so cool to me, and I think there's something for me to learn in that. And because, like, for recently, the neighbors brought his cows over here, and we ended up having to take them off because they got into my hay yard. We couldn't keep them out.
yeah,
And I decided, look, you know what? It's going to cost me money to put in that hay yard. We're going to put in the hay yard. I don't care what it costs.
yeah,
'Cause we got to have it.
yeah,
And I don't even know what the return on investment is for this. But I decided I'm not going to calculate it.
yeah,
We're just going to do it. And then Shannon's coming to put in a hay yard, and then I'm buying a bunch of posts from him. I'm going to borrow his pounder, and I'm just going to start putting in fence around my place. And I'm going to get to where I can graze. I can graze all of my pasture land
yeah.
this summer. I don't know what it's going to cost me. I don't care. But I'm sick and tired of getting myself down by calculating. I'm convinced my calculator
Well,
has done me as much damage as anything.
this is interesting. This is teaching me a lot more about myself than I knew, because I get so frustrated with the banker sometimes about how he has to have everything calculated
Yeah.
out. And I mean, in my mind, some of this stuff is I mean, it's a long range plan. I mean,
Right.
and it's going to be here. This materials that I'm putting out there are going to be there for kingdom
Yes.
till kingdom come.
This is not a
And-
depreciating
and
asset. I mean, not drastically
So
depreciating asset. Yeah.
if you need them, if you need this infrastructure, and it's most likely the materials don't go down over the years,
Right.
and,
Right.
and in price, and you need this infrastructure. You have the potential sitting in front of you. There's people that are going to bring you cattle to feed.
Right.
Then there's nothing. There can be no downside to this deal. And so then I actually built that, or we actually did that last feed line without even talking to the banker, because I knew he would figure his way out of it if and so then I
Then you
just
just told him what you were doing.
yeah.
And then
Well,
when you're
actually, I was in the process. I was suspicious I was going to change banks anyway.
oh, this is before you started banking local.
Yeah, I was suspicious I was going to change banks anyway, and we had not. I had never told him about this old banker about the feed line, and he was like, And one time and then he was talking to me, and he was planning to come out here and
Oh,
look at the place. And I'm sure he must have saw the check, in my checking account or whatever, and there's this big check to this construction company. And, uh, and I want to look at the feed line too, he said. And, and I was
and
like,
you'd never. Yeah, that's so
well,
funny.
yeah, this is interesting. I said, I've never even talked to you about it. And, I said, I think it's kind of a good deal, or I
Yeah.
think we need it. And he half admitted that he thought he might have went along with it, but it would it that's the deal. Like, in my mind, this the way the world is set up, it just takes so long to pass through all the right channels and make everything make sense.
Yeah.
The people that I was thinking about this today as I was going about my work, but the people that really need the good deals, they don't have the finances to take advantage of them, because they're not around for long enough for them to get their finances in order.
Right.
The
Right.
people that really need
The break.
yeah.
Yes. That there's some truth to that.
But I am not I will not, or never will be, a financial advisor. So they almost this, yeah, the seat of the pants is a really good explanation for me.
Yeah. Well, look, it's been this has been an interesting conversation, because I have also as well learned stuff about myself as you watched in real time, and it's been actually quite enlightening to hear. I sort of knew you how you work. Like I kind of thought, I noticed that you're a back of the napkin kind of guy, but I'm definitely realizing, I think there's some things that I can sort of learn from that. Like there's something to. I don't really like the word faith all the time, but there's something about having a vision and then having faith
Yeah.
with this stuff, like, and not being overly analytical, like zooming out, taking a long look, and not letting yourself get too anxious about the maybe the short term.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah,
thanks.
I guess probably the conclusion of the matter, like Ecclesiastes said, was that um maybe is that I don't have any absolutes. Like, I feel like the to just say that we absolutely can, or we absolutely can't take on this enterprise or do this, or
Yes.
it it's you're just probably not looking at it from all angles.
Well, right. I'm because I this dude this so this circles back to the thing I sort of introed with, is that I'm fascinated by how people come to believe the things that they believe, and I believe that there's extreme value in holding beliefs loosely. And then that's just what is exactly what you said. There aren't that many holding. I'm not sure how far you should go with this, but holding nothing. Should you hold absolutely nothing as an absolute? I'm not sure, but I think our tendency is to hold, on average, we hold too many things as absolute. We're looking for absolutes often, and
Oh, because that does actually give some security,
yes,
if you just have this thing written down, but it is a tremendous limitation too. But
yes, exactly. So, and it's so fascinating because I in it's so fascinating to me that you in one way are an example of this exact thing, and it's a crack up. In one way, it can be nerve wracking, but it's fascinating to watch
Well,
because I just I sort of admire because I do think that living a life like this, living a life where you truly hold everything is all beliefs is sort of lightly, is an almost reckless looking life. Maybe.
oh yeah, yeah,
Because you can be actually reckless. And but this is something different than actually being reckless. And
yeah.
in the end I think it's a beautiful thing.
One thing I want to say is that I do not feel like on an average daily basis I am a very good example to anyone as far as on how to approach life and so be because of the unorganized appearance that I have. So I keep a lot of things in my head, and which probably you actually would have picked up on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I sometimes I feel like I feel that way so much that if I was to be gone, there would there would be nobody that could make heads or tails of my operation.
Yeah.
Because I and so then for somebody to pattern to make a pattern of me to try to say, well, Chris did this, or it worked for him, and where this deal of having no absolutes translates also to it's completely possible that I wouldn't do it again. It's completely possible that just because it worked for me one time doesn't mean it will work again. It's completely possible that like I guess I see so many avenues um in what I do that it
Oh,
to say that you can just do this exactly and it's gonna work. Like
yeah.
my faith is dim in that area, and I think it's probably because of what we've been talking about. Well, the the lack of maybe forethought or organization or perimeters. It's hard, and so if my boy doesn't have the same genes I do in the seat of my pants way
Yep.
of
Yep.
approach, I fear that it's going to be a little bit hard to just to transmit or transfer um, the knack of just doing things.
Oh, look, I have a crazy story though, and it's going to seem like it departs from this topic, but I'm gonna bring it back. I just read the book Philosophy for Dummies, but what I'm going to tell you, it doesn't have really anything to do with philosophy. In there, he tells a story. He sort of in his family is this ability to. So his mother had this strange ability while he was in. Okay, let me paint the story. The author of this book, when he was in college, his mother had this strange ability to know when he was going to come home from like out of state or a long ways away. He lived away. She had this strange ability to know when he was going to be home, when he was coming home. And she would have the table set for him when he got home.
Oh goodness.
crazy.
Yeah.
His
Yeah.
father, way I understand it, was in the Navy.
Yeah.
And they were a bunch of dudes out on a boat. This is the way I understand the story. I might got the details wrong, but the fundamentals are still the same. So they were playing dice, gambling with dice. He suddenly realized that he had the ability to predict every throw of the dice. And so he started doing it. And he started winning money, and it started attracting more and more people to where an enormous amount of people were crowded around him. And for a couple hours straight, he did nothing but win.
Yeah.
His statement was he won more money than he'd ever seen in his life.
Yeah.
He went to bed that night, or when they broke it up, and he went to bed that night, and he thought about it, what in the world happened? And he got analytical about it.
Yeah.
Tried it the next day. He lost all of it.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
So he got analytical about it, and Dad suspected that it was because of the fact that he got analytical about it, that ability went away. All right. The author himself had an experience with his daughter where they did this with cards. But and it had been when he was younger, he did this with cards where they would practice, or they would see if they could hold a card or show him a card, and then he could say what was on the card even though he hadn't seen it. And he had the strange ability to do it, but then he tried it, and then that was when he was younger, but he tried it later on with one of his college-age daughters with Uno. And he got a little more scientific with it. They were doing it. And he was like, okay, what color is this card? Asking his daughter. And she was nailing it. And she got 15 of them in a row, and then he did another one and she missed it. And he goes, Is that the first color that came to your mind? And she admitted, no.
Yeah.
What was the first color that came to your mind? And then she nailed it.
Yeah.
All right. The point I'm making is some people, and maybe everybody if they unlock it, but some people have the ability. It's like as if we have access to knowing, and it is separate from a calculator. So, in light of that, just going by the seat of the pants, you're like you that's sort of how you go. Is you don't run a calculator so much. You just roll with it, and you do whatever comes to you. I don't know if you would say you're a kind of person who just literally does the first thing that comes to you, or if you do see the options and just have a gut feeling about one of them and do that. Either way, I don't know if it makes me a lot of difference. But I think there's something golden about that. Like I don't know if it's for particular. This is hard to know because there's this injunction in the Bible that to be a good steward as well, and that sounds like using a calculator
and talking for days and yeah.
Yes. But at the same time you could make the case that you could like see those are sorts of the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah.
And I don't think it could be that we're not supposed to aim at the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah.
The fruits of the Spirit are simply a gauge of when we've found the source.
Oh,
They're a gauge,
yeah,
rather than something to shoot for. I don't know what you think about that. I mean, we live. I mean, I guess one of my questions is do you think the fact that you live in a society that uses Excel is what makes you feel some guilt about this, or not guilt, some animosity about how to train your kids with this?
So I believe that life will just work out for them too. because I'm just an
Well, of course.
optimist.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
so I just expect, something is going to work out. This when we put sidewalks on our house,
Yep.
that was this all getting close to a year now in,
Oh,
in
yeah.
March. That was literally something I um the fellow was working in our house. He was working inside, and Jana was and I was like, I was inside too working, and that day, and I talked I started thinking about this, and I said, my goodness, that would be nice to put concrete out there. And I went downstairs and talked to my wife about it, and we we just agreed. We talked to this construction guy that was happened to be
Yep.
working inside at our house. This was all in this day, and we talked to him. He and walked around outside with him, and like that deal cost a lot of money. Like, and it was it was plenty actually, but we have never been disappointed with it.
Never regretted it.
I mean that thing is just awesome for us to live on,
Yes.
and the so that that I think he went home, and then at some point maybe it was maybe the next day when he came back, when he gave us a rough figure, what it would
Yep.
cost. And but it really didn't matter, at that point already, because our mind,
Yeah.
it was one of them deals where, I shouldn't say, this is one thing I get self-conscious about podcasts, is we talk about ourselves. I talk about myself so much, and I like, it's not that
That's why I got you here, by the way.
we have or there was more funds available than there ever was, or anything like that. It's just that when you've made up your mind on a project like that, and that's what you want, you are gonna you are gonna adjust your lifestyle later on
Mm-hmm.
to make that a reality. And there might be some that would argue about that, but in from my perspective, like, it was a financial burden that has probably, I don't know if it is infringed on any other decisions, subsequent decisions later on. Maybe we just can't do this because we did the sidewalks, but regardless, we still wouldn't change a thing. Like, and
Right.
that decision was made in just a few minutes, basically. And
That is interesting. That is very interesting, because I completely understand, and I think that's fantastic. Like, I think there's something to that, as I illustrated with the stories. But because this is so interesting, because I've also witnessed this thing of people making a decision stubbornly and sticking to it when arguably they shouldn't have.
yeah,
So there's something about spontaneity, making a decision and sticking to it, that is good.
yeah, yeah, I would,
But it's got it, and maybe that's where some of your animosity is coming from with this whole deal, because it's certainly the case that sometimes you shouldn't do that. Like, if it, I don't even have an example, but I mean, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
yeah. So I have a, and you know that I have a personal. I probably have a um it's almost a religion with me that I can't spend much money on my vehicles. I
That's
knew that was
funny.
going to make you laugh. But so if I was going to go through town and do something like that, like buy a brand new pickup, if,
Yeah,
just when I see one because that's what I want.
yeah,
Like I actually do want a brand new pickup. It'd be
yeah,
terrible neat,
yep,
But I have a mind that and probably mm, some people would call it materialistic, but I that thing loses value so terrible bad,
right.
and as opposed to like improvements on the house or something,
Yeah,
and so then that kind of a decision, yeah, I haven't made a decision like that,
yeah,
but that kind of a decision I can see where, I mean, and that's just like anybody can buy a new vehicle if they want, but
yeah,
from
right, right.
what I look at it, and my wife has learned to know me too, and she's like, I did not see this before we got married, that vehicles were that bad of an investment.
Yeah.
But
Well, listen though, I got a question about this because I know that you have explained yourself and you've apologized for the fact that you're materialistic. However, I don't see you as materialistic. Now, that doesn't mean you are, but in your defense, so okay, when you're driving through town, you meet a new vehicle. That's a nice vehicle, and you say, "Oh man, that'd be nice to have." But you inwardly know, like, there's something that hits you. It's not for me right now.
yeah,
Okay. Later, you use material. You use the material world to sort of make an explanation for the feeling, or for the. I don't want to call it a feeling because it's sort of it's something deeper than that. You use material to explain what the decisions you make, but I would argue it doesn't look like that you use material to make the decisions, though. Like for illustration, exhibit A might be the sidewalks around your house.
yeah,
I mean, you went on a gut. You went on something like you collaborated with the wife. This is something we want to do. And if I my understanding of it is it was that decision was completely divorced from cash.
yeah,
And even with unlike when I watch you like with the like with what you're interested in, you're not obsessed with like making a quick buck schemes.
yeah.
You think long term. So in my view, you're getting kind of hard on yourself about this materialistic
Well, I guess
apology.
the so now if we spend money on this sidewalk, this and it becomes somewhat of a burden of I mean, just it's just that much more money that we didn't make this year or whatever.
Yeah.
If I had a $80,000 pickup out there,
Yeah.
and that was the reason why I hadn't made, or we went backwards this year, that would get me way
Oh.
worse than the sidewalk.
Yep. Yep. Yes. 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 Yes.
So,
Yes.
because that thing is worth 50,000 now,
Yes.
because my $80,000 pickup
Yep.
is now worth 50,000. But in a situation where your livelihood is more directly connected with the vehicle, I'm like,
Right.
power to you. You can buy a new pickup
Right.
for your livelihood, or
Right.
in, a feed wagon, whatever I bought, that
Yep.
same money as a pickup basically. And but
This is so interesting because this is so good for me to talk to you because I I, I lose oh man because I lose touch. I can lose touch with the importance of this sort of this going by your gut way of living. But when I've done that, that's when I probably felt the most freedom about my choices.
Yeah.
It's like for example, if you all of a sudden have something hits you, I should have Chris on the podcast. Get on the phone right then. I never regret those.
Yeah.
But if I go, oh, should I have him on? I mean, he might not. And then I can still, I'll still maybe even end up making the decision to have you over and talk on here, and it's the right decision. But I don't have. It's less of a blessing because I didn't just go with it.
Yeah.
There's like something about spontaneous.
Yeah.
Makes life beautiful somehow.
Yeah. It's worth this is another controversial thing, but it's worth missing the moon a few times, even just because you were shooting for it.
Yes.
I mean, the one time that you hit the moon is worth the 5 times that you didn't
missed
because you were still trying for it.
Yeah. That's an interesting analogy for sure. Shooting for the stars.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thanks for talking to me.
It was a real pleasure here.